Motherfucker.
Hey guys, what's going on? I have Pierce Plam here. He's one of my dear great friends. He and I have been doing real estate for almost 2 decades together. He is an absolute master. We're going to be talking about the problems of realtor marketing. Now, this is a big issue with all of us. So, Pierce, I want you to break out one of the first things that comes to your mind when it comes to realtor marketing issues, and it comes to websites. And are they useless? Are they good? Walk me through that really quickly.
Funny you should ask. Yeah, I think that our websites, all of our websites, are almost useless. And why do I say that? Because we are basically creating Zillow clones. And the Zillow clone, our tools aren't as good as Zillow, for example. People are used to Zillow, and we're trying to make a way for buyers to search on our websites so that we can, I guess, build a relationship, but it doesn't seem to be a very strong relationship. And then most of the time they end up just going to Zillow. And then also, if you were to step back a little bit, you understand that as realtors, we don't typically want a lot of buyers. Maybe a couple is nice at a time, but it's a lot of work working with buyers, and we would all prefer listings.
Yeah, we all do. We all, the adage is our listings are life. So I completely agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But so let's focus on this. Why focus on neighborhood farming instead of geographic lead generation? Because that's such a big thing in our industry right now. People are saying like, you know what, you should go out and do geographical farming. But what's your thought pattern here?
Well, I do like geographical farming, and that's what I do, and that's what most of the successful agents I've worked with do. They have a certain area, their neighborhood or a neighborhood that they prefer, and they do marketing. Maybe they do postcards and they do two a month or something like that, year in, year out, and eventually they become the dominant agent in their area. Whether it's like a mobile home park, or if it's a senior community like a Sun City, or if it's just a family neighborhood, they'll stick to their place, and year after year they're consistent. They do garage sales. They provide value to the neighborhood. But that's not what we're doing with our websites. With our websites, we're making a Zillow clone, and we're letting buyers come there. So it's quite a disconnect. And so I think that it's valuable to match your geographic farming, which has value, especially if you want listings, to match that up with a website and a whole system that is something that you're more interested in doing and accomplishing your goals.
Well, you've been incredibly successful as far as I've known you in real estate. I mean, you found your niche in where you are right now. But I want to talk about the solution really quickly.
Okay.
What are you actually building? That's the real question in everything in real estate, right? Is it going to be social media? Is it going to be your sphere of influence? Is it going to be your neighborhood? So let's talk about neighborhood portals really quickly. Walk me through that.
The neighborhood, I'm sorry, what neighborhood? What?
Your neighborhood portal, like what?
Okay.
How does that work? I mean, what can agents do to benefit from that?
Okay, so it's kind of an ecosystem, and it's hard to decide where to start in describing what I'm building. But to break it down, so I wanted to create a portal for my community to provide value to the community. But there's already Facebook groups. Every major neighborhood has a Facebook group, and it's probably really pretty well done. It covers a lot of people. They all have Nextdoor. They all have all kinds of software. So how can you build a website that would have engagement? And I kind of struggled with that, and I think I found a way to do it. So what I do is I provide postcards, and I send a postcard out every month to every house in my neighborhood. One of the ones that I'm farming right now has 3,500 homes. So they each get a postcard, and it's dynamically printed, which means it has a QR code on the back of it that is different for everybody, and it leads them to their home. So it's the top level domain, whatever your domain is. I have several, and,
Well,
and then it's
let's break down a QR code very quickly, just so
okay.
people understand what that is. I mean, is that individual for every property? Is it individual for you? I mean, how does that work?
Yeah, good question. It's for every single home in my farm. So the one farm we're talking about, I have 3,500 homes. each one of those homes has a unique QR code, which is just essentially a link, and it links to their individual page on my top level domain.
Interesting. Interesting. So how does that affect the neighborhood? How does that affect the consumers? What are they getting out of that? And I'm honestly curious about this because I mean QR codes are becoming a much bigger thing, and you have
Yeah.
created something phenomenally interesting about that.
So the QR codes became prolific with the pandemic and when people went to restaurants, and so everybody learned how to
You
use
did.
QR codes. People were resisting it, and nobody wanted it before then. So now that they at least know how to do it, they don't have to use the QR code. Of course, they can type in a direct link, which I get. And so on the postcard, every single homeowner gets a link to, or they can type in the link or follow the QR code to go to their exact web page. And on their web page, they're going to find maybe their floor plan, if I have it. They're going to find tax bills and all kinds of public information, maybe their garbage schedule, if I have it, if it's easy to link on there. I'll give them all kinds of information specific about their home. But the best part is a CMA and a market report that's very specific to their house, their subset of their neighborhood. So it's not the whole neighborhood that's getting the comps. It's just houses that make sense for them.
That makes total sense. You know, the thing that really interests me about this whole program you've built is like, as silly as this sounds, I've been selling real estate myself for 25 years.
Yeah.
I've never had a real estate agent come to me and go like, "Hey, man, here's a link to your property, and by the way, I'm going to show you when your garbage is going to be showing up." Because for me, it's Wednesday, but I always forget it on Tuesday, and then it's a problem on Wednesday morning. It's an issue, and I think it's a real big value add. But so, with that in mind, how do you keep top of mind for your consumers and your neighbors and the agents and anybody around you?
Okay, so I send out the postcard monthly, and that links back to the page and the portal at the same time. So we'll talk in a bit about, I guess, about the portal. But so the QR code links back to the page. Of course, we've got sidebars and headers and footers that
Right.
lead you to more information about the neighborhood. So we're not only providing value and CMA value on their specific, very hyper local home, but then also they can see events that are going on in the neighborhood. They can read about businesses. A new restaurant opened up, and I interviewed the owner, and everybody was hitting that page because they were curious about the restaurant. And I had the interview on the portal, and so it started to get a lot of hits, and people were talking about it on the Facebook group, etc.
You know, it's a very interesting you say that because literally today at lunch, I have two German shepherds, and
Yeah,
they insisted on taking me out to lunch today.
they do.
Air quotes. But here's the thing. I went to a local restaurant and I shot a local restaurant, video about it. Kind of like they have a lot of local recurring and new beers. They have new food
Sure.
coming in. They're a staple of the community. They have events, so on and so forth. And so I shot a video about it. And I probably have like 2 hours ago, 3 hours ago since this recording.
Yeah,
People are just flooding in on this with comments because they're like, "Oh my gosh, you're
yeah,
going to get this sandwich, you're going to get this drink, blah blah blah." Not an alcoholic drink, just a drink like
right,
lemon water.
right.
Um, but it is a very powerful thing that people can do because when you get involved into your neighborhoods, you become a neighbor, not just a real estate professional trying to make a buck.
And
And
that
that's
has to
the
be your
biggest difference.
genuine goal. Your genuine, everything that you do has to be to provide value and to increase everybody's enjoyment of where they live. And if it's not genuine like that, people will sniff you out. But it's also important to remember what you did with the restaurant. People are going to get engaged in that because, in a sense, it's about them, right? It's not about what you had to drink. It's about what they have options to drink. And
Exactly. Exactly. It's a conversation that you get to build with somebody
yeah,
and then grow from there. So, like, let's say someone wants an IPA or a Chardonnay or a Merlot or a glass of water or an iced tea. It doesn't matter. It's the topic. Like, hey, So how was that, lemon iced tea? Oh, it was pretty good. How was this IPA? Not bad. I'd get better. How was this? How was that? How's the salad? How's the burger? Blah, blah, blah. It's the conversation that
And
matters.
it's also that they get to have their opinion about it, so it becomes about them too at the same time.
Yeah. Huh, and I actually really want to step into that, about building connections.
Mhm.
Um, what would be, give me just one or two things in what you built in your business, building connections in your community. What would be the two things you'd tell any agent to go do right now?
Well, okay, so something that I'm working on right now, and I'm getting tremendous traction, is you've heard of the BNI networks, the business network, or
Exactly.
I started my own, and so what I did, I started to interview people for my blog posts on my portal, and then I started to get to know businesses and nonprofits. So then I called several of them who I connected with, and they kind of feel an obligation to me since I promoted them on my website. And so I started a network group with them, and we meet once a month on the second Tuesday of every month, and we discuss how we can improve the community, and also we give business to each other because we're all entrepreneurs in the town, or nonprofit owners. And I'm getting tremendous success. We have 10 people right now. I just started it 4 months ago. We have 10 people in our group right now, and we've decided collectively that we're going to get it up to 30 people who all live in our neighborhood. And then we're going to start providing assistance to the nonprofits, and referrals to other businesses, and promoting the local businesses in our neighborhood, so that everybody's working together to support local.
But I'm going to deviate here really quickly.
Okay, I'll
But
go with you.
I want to talk about something. We're gonna jump back into a newsletter, which is just picking at my brain for some reason. But
Okay.
when it comes to the local businesses and collaborating with them, how are you and the individuals in your organization? How are you guys getting involved with these businesses? I mean, is it as simple as walking into the business? Do you call them, email them, text message them? I mean, how do you make that first call of like, hey, Pierce, you own X, Y, and Z company in
Mhm.
downtown anywhere USA.
Yeah.
How do you have that conversation? How are you guys breaking through the barrier?
Well, so we have the newsletter, and I've done 5 issues of the newsletter so far. They're 8 pages, full color. They're mailed to every individual house. All 3,500 homes get this beautiful newsletter. That's information about all the neighbors. So I sponsor like football teams, and all the local sports, the high school, the junior rhinos, and stuff like that. So that's it's easy to approach the people on something where they need help. So I go to the nonprofit because they want promotion, and I write an article in a newsletter that I print, I produce, and I mail out. So instead of the postcard, they get this newsletter, and they read about their neighbors. If I take pictures at the football, maybe they have a golf tournament to as a fundraiser for the football team, and so everybody comes by. I take pictures of everybody. Then I put in the newsletter pictures of everybody, because remember we talked earlier that people loves to see themselves. They don't so much care about what I'm eating for lunch, but they want to know what they're eating for lunch, and they want everybody to know it. So if I put pictures of their family and their friends and their neighbors in the newsletter, that gives them a connection, and that draws them back to my portal.
Phenomenal content right there. Here's the reason why I love it so much. Two things. One, there was a gentleman. Well, yeah, I hope he's not dead. But anyways, an agent out of LA, and he started out, and he was a new agent, and he started with a newsletter and he sent it out to his community, and his community was
Yeah.
very, very hilly. So what he would do is he would hike up and down this thing every day, door knocking, and knock, 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 hello, yada yada. And then he was about ready to give up,
Oh,
and all of a sudden he gets a phone call, and
yeah.
there's a guy who said, "I've been listening and well, I'm not listening. It's too long ago, but I've
Read.
been reading your newsletter
Yeah.
every single week, And how was your trip to Hawaii? How's your wife doing? Is she okay with her health issues?
He built
Can
a
you come
relationship.
over? Exactly. They know you without knowing you,
Yes.
and it's so simple to do. But a lot of us real estate agents, I mean, you doing this, you've been doing this for a long time. I've been doing this for a long time.
Mhm.
We sometimes we feel like, yeah, it's just not working. It's just not working. But the beauty is that you don't know who's watching and listening. And if you're consistent and persistent on this, you're going to knock it out of the freaking park. Um, let's talk about pictures really quickly.
Okay.
Would you recommend, because I know there's a lot of interesting human beings in the world, not in a good way, in a very bad way.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh-oh.
and would would you recommend posting photos of your children or your grandkids or anything like that? Or would you take that back and make it more about you as a professional? What would you do right now?
No, I do, you, so you have to picture how you want to be perceived by people, and I don't put pictures of kids, grandkids, or whatever up uh, unless I have explicit instructions that I'm allowed to do that from their parents. But I try to stay away from that. Um,
Good.
yeah, no, I don't think that. Yeah, that was kind of weird. Do you know something I don't know? Am I under
No,
investigation?
it's just my sister. She will never post anything about her four kiddos on
No.
Facebook or anything else. Like it's just on Instagram with just friends, and so that's a personal decision. But let's move forward here really quickly. Let's move on to something that I'm really interested about building a business referral group.
Okay.
So we've talked about the newsletter.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the business referral network. How would you build that? How have you built it right now? Because you're crushing it in your area.
Yeah, so I did the lower hanging fruit first, which I mentioned earlier, is the nonprofits. They want people to approach them. They love for you to talk to them. Some of the businesses are a little bit more reluctant. They're skeptical. They're like, "Who is this new person?" Except for like new businesses, like the restaurant that
I got a
I
story for you on this one.
okay. So the restaurant was very open to it because they were brand new and they wanted to be part of the community, and I was welcoming them. So I think go to the lowest hanging fruit first, and then talk to your smaller group, and then get all of the group to help you build it out because they all have a neighbor who's a pool cleaner, or some guy who does handyman work or whatever, and just let the small group that you build a solid kernel, and then let it grow. And also, you can always go to every network group needs a realtor, a financial advisor, a mortgage person, and maybe an accountant, and maybe an insurance person. Those people are always interested in connecting with the community. So I would start with them and the nonprofits, and then have those people. Everybody has to bring in one person. So yeah, that's how we do
All
it.
right. That is solid advice on every single side. And so the reason why I laughed in the beginning of this segment is the
Yeah,
fact that I went to a place called Alamo Bikes in the city that I live in.
yeah,
And
I know it.
I walked in there and I'm like, hey guys, can I shoot a free video for you? I have my own equipment. I'll do everything for
No,
you. I'll do all the post production. I mean, it'll be easy, like no muss, no fuss. And
right.
they both looked at me like, um, what's the catch? And I'm like, there's no catch. It's just me helping a business to help another business. And this is the point of the story. They looked at me like I was a unicorn, and I'm like, I'm just a real estate agent. I just want to help you. And they're like, that's amazing. No one's ever done that for me. So for everyone who's watching this, I mean, Pierce is dropping knowledge bombs like nobody's business, but get out of your way. Start driving traffic back to your business. Start working your neighborhood networks. I mean, this is simple stuff. You got your newsletter. And now let's talk about community involvement, because community involvement is one of my big things. You've known me for probably 2 decades now.
Yeah.
I love community involvement. Talk to me about sponsoring local events and teams, promoting local businesses and everything else like we already talked about. But tell me what you've done and what you've seen productive.
Sure. So I moved into my neighborhood about 3 or 4 years ago, and I didn't know anybody. And I decided that I wanted to be the realtor in the area, like the major, the primary agent. And so, what are the ways to do it? I mentioned the nonprofits because they're receptive to anybody. And so I started donating to the local football team. They were just building out because we built a new high school here. And so I started sponsoring golf holes and the team. I bought them jerseys and things, and then I became included in everything. I'm going to the awards banquets and I'm getting to know people, and then you start to mingle and network, and that's where you meet the mortgage brokers and the accountants and the insurance people because they're all doing the same thing.
Right.
And so that was the start of it, and that's how you plug into a community, and then you build it out by providing value.
Well, community is also it's a part of your life. So if you when you put down roots into some place, like you just said, like the kids, the schools, the local businesses, so on and so forth. But if you have a local place that you like to get plants from, or you like to do X, Y, and Z and purchase, or a great pizza restaurant, or whatever, pick it. Pick your poison.
Yeah.
Go like I went to the bike shop today. I also filmed in front of a restaurant that I love where I had lunch
Mhm.
today. And I asked them, "Can I do this?" And they're like, "Oh my gosh, yeah, totally cool. That's awesome." So you tag them in it, and you send out different links to their menus or whatever else. It's a uniquely powerful thing if you do it on a consistent basis, and it doesn't cost you a stinking dime. I mean, the iPhones and the Androids today, Pierce, you know this. You're a tech guy. You're absolutely incredible at this. The microphones and cameras are. I mean, it's literally a film studio in your pocket.
Yes. Yeah.
And so, if you were okay, hypothetically,
Yes.
if you were to move out of your house right now, not to say you are, but if you were to move and you
Right.
moved into ABC Anywhere USA
Right.
and you dropped in, what would be the first thing that you would do to generate business?
Well, I think the first thing I did, I would lay the foundation for everything I'm doing right now. But nothing beats open houses. So I would join probably the biggest brokerage in the area that had a local presence, and I would sit in their open houses, and I would sit there 7 days a week, and I would meet people, and then
Let's back that up. Let's back
yeah,
that thought pattern up really quickly.
yeah,
So, when you say 7 days a week, most people's brains are exploding right now because they're like 7 days a week. I'm not going to do 7 days a week. It's always supposed to be on Sundays. But you and I both know the answer to this. But why 7 days a week?
oh, you get so much business during the week, but really what you're getting is you're getting a lot of neighbors, and the neighbors come by. I've seen you get here at 8:30 and you put your signs out, and then you leave here at 5:30 if it's a vacant house or something like that,
Right.
and you're here every single day. And I want that kind of dedication. I'm thinking about selling my house, and it's just you pick up business, you meet people, you write down everybody's name, and if you do it at a couple of vacant homes that you get from your brokerage, which I said is the biggest one in the area that you decided to sign up with, then you're going to pick and choose the neighborhoods you want to go for. You might find out where you're going to want to live. If you just get dropped into a town, maybe you don't know which neighborhood you want to live in, and so you're like, oh, I really feel comfortable in this one, so maybe I'll buy a house here, and then expand it and start farming and start doing some of the stuff I'm doing. Provide value to that community. And if you provide value to that community and you're well known and you build out your network group and you do your postcards and you do your websites that people want to go to because they get information, I think you get plugged in no time. And I've done it in a few years.
You know, you've been phenomenal at this. And I'm not blowing smoke up your skirt. You really have just knocked out of the stinking park. I mean, I'm so incredibly impressed of what you built. I want to talk about one more thing before we let everybody go. And I want to just talk about the long term big picture. What does that look like? Where do you see yourself? Where do you see other people going? Walk me through kind of what that thought pattern is for you.
Uh, Big picture for this, I'm building out several different neighborhoods. So I'll probably end up going after about 20,000 homes, providing value to each individual neighborhood. And they're all a little bit different. So some of the tricks that I do in one place, I do a little bit differently. But I would like everybody to know that their lives are a little bit better because they know me, if that's at all possible. I want to farm my local neighborhood. I don't want to work with buyers, so I don't want to have a Zillow clone website like every other realtor has, and they're not as good. And ultimately, I'm working with a couple of other agents who are building out their neighborhood farms, their geographic sites, and I'm kind of beta testing this program with them. And I could see a time pretty soon where maybe other people who are farming a big neighborhood would be interested in having me help them because I have some proprietary software that I've developed, and I have some plans. I think a little bit differently, I think, than most realtors.
You know, you and I were talking prior to this video, and I'll tell you one thing, ladies and gentlemen. The information that Pierce gave me, kind of what he's built on this software, my family's been in tech. We invented some of the first technology issues. I'm not going to get into that right now, but what he has built literally got me excited. Like I was like, tell me more, like explain this to me, walk me through this. And he did it very easily. It is something that's so stupid simple for every agent to adhere to their marketplace.
Yeah.
I mean, guys, I'm just a friend of Pierce. I'm here as a friend, and I wanted to talk to him about it because what he has developed is something that I think really you guys could put into your business and really make it work for you. Because every one of us is going through a struggle that we nobody else knows about, and the last thing we want to do is struggle in our business.
Yeah.
So make it a little easier for yourself. Give them a call. Pierce, how the heck do people get a hold of you, by the way?
Probably the easiest way is you just go to piercex.com or send me an email at piercex@gmail.
Easy enough. And guys, so if you guys are listening to this on a podcast or anywhere else, that's piercex@gmail.com. Is that correct, Pierce?
Yeah, or piercex.com. I have that also.
Perfect. All right. All right. I'm going to give you the final thoughts. Anything you'd like to share with everybody before we let them go? Because they have got so much information right now. I'm pretty sure their pencils have run out of, well, whatever pencils run out of. But you know what I'm saying. Uh, drop some knowledge if you want to.
I think the biggest thing, the thing that put me on this path, and the thing I would focus on in your business and any marketing plan you have or any way you do anything really with a business, is start at the back as to what you want and work your way backwards. And so I started at the end of this, which is I wanted listings. I wanted to be the dominant agent in my neighborhood. And how can I do that? And we all know that you have to provide value. You have to not have commission breath, and you have to be good at what you do. You position yourself in marketing, but everything goes towards the end goal, which is to be the dominant listing agent in a small or medium-sized neighborhood, so that you're not driving all over the place. You're not taking listings that, oh, I'm going to do a land listing, I'm going to do a mobile home, I'm going to do all these things that you don't do. Specialize in your neighborhood, and your life is going to be simple, and then you can make your community better.
And you know what? And that is why I love him. Guys, follow this man. Sign up, get a phone call with him. Information will be involved later, so where you can get a hold of him, like he already said earlier. But he is an absolute master. He is closing hundreds of deals a year. He found his niche and he is killing it. Now he wants to make you guys an absolute master of your area. So Pierce, you're a legend, brother. I appreciate you. You know what? We'll see you on the next video.
All right, thanks, Greg.